Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. We're just doing a quick technical check. So all good, inshallah. It's good to have everyone who's here. Just to be, I think just to kind of kick off the process, this is a very informal, conversational session. So this is not like a one-way dump of information. So please feel free to ask questions or chime in with your own experiences or suggestions. I think we did this session before at Bilal a couple of weeks back, and Brother Sherif, I think, had contributed in a way that made the session better. So I'm looking for everyone to participate in the conversation really, and don't consider it to be just a speech by someone, inshallah. The objective that we have for today is really around uh, how to navigate this notion of what we call career development, specifically in the context of the transitions that are happening. I mean, and I think I'm referring to the layoffs at Intel, the layoffs at Nike, even for that matter. So this region, unfortunately, has been going through some difficult circumstances, especially the largest two employers of the area are in an entrenchment mode rather than a growth mode. Right? So we have seen multiple rounds of reductions, and in this larger context, we want to kind of talk about what does it mean to pursue career development, and that is really the background here. And one thing I want to kind of specifically call out is to be more intentional and more purposeful around career development. And I'll touch onto what I mean by purposeful or intentional, but the idea is that especially in kind of difficult circumstances like most of us are in, what does it mean to have career development? Before we start, of course, this is happening in a masjid, and we all, alhamdulillah, are practicing, believing Muslims. One thing, a quick reminder for me and for everyone else is that in as much as we consider career development to be important, we are worried about what's happening, we need to keep reminding ourselves that at the end of the day, Allah is our provider. Right? So whatever Allah has granted for us will be there. We'll inshallah get through all of these changes according to Allah's wishes. I mean, there is only so much we can do. We just have to count on Allah to take care of us, inshallah. That said, I think the first question that comes up, and it's important to have this out of the way on any conversation, is to define what we mean by career development, because it means obviously very different things to different people. And I mean, to some it may mean career development mean a positional development, as in I'm an engineer today, how do I become area manager, for instance, or how do I become a technical lead for a specific domain. For some, it's purely about how do I develop my career so I get paid more. And that to them, it doesn't matter what the positions that lead to higher pay as long as there's an increase in pay that comes with it. Some people very specifically look for stability, right? For especially for people who are in a very dynamic careers, to them career development could be just getting into a place or into a position which is considered to be more stable. For some, it's future employability, and this is one thing that I will cover, inshallah, in the second half of the presentation, is this notion of how do you make yourself more employable, because changes like what Nike and Intel are going through are to be expected. I mean, in a career lifetime of 30, 40 years we generally work, we should expect that there'll be layoffs. We should expect that we may have to look for some other jobs either voluntarily or involuntarily. So this notion of employability is an important one. that we should cover within the larger, broader definition of what is career development. So the real call to action for all of us here is really get to that level of awareness of what you really mean by career development. Is it positional development for you? Would you take a leadership position even if it means there's more time you'd have to spend at the job, maybe comes with higher stress? Or would you take a role in a different field, which is career development to you, even if it means you're taking a pay cut? Because career development doesn't necessarily mean that all of these things will progress, right? So it's very important to be aware of exactly what you're looking for when you think of career development. The one thing I've learned over the years in just me working within the industry, as well as talking to others and even observing people on my teams who have strived for, worked for their definition of career development, that they would get to what they want to and then they struggle. And they run into a situation where that what you would call career development ended up being a problem for them. So I do want to kind of highlight that risk again as just to make you think through what's career development for you. That not everything that we want is necessarily good for us. And it kind of is the essence of istikhara, for instance, where we explicitly say, Allah, make it happen for me only if it is good for me, both in this world and in the hereafter, inshallah. And even if I'm trying to get it, don't give it to me if it's bad for me. So it very much applies to this notion of career development, because I've seen specifically around management positions where some people have this desire to get into management positions, but they just don't have the aptitude, if you want to call it, or skills, or they're not ready yet. They get into a position and they struggle, and it actually becomes problematic for them. It's extremely important to be aware of what we are striving for. Is it really good for us, and are we able to handle that or not? So with that broader context set, let's kind of step into how do we approach the actual logistics of developing our career. So, and I want to kind of cover some myths around how we get to the goals we are seeking, specifically around whether, hey, I'm going to go get a master's degree, or I'm going to get this certification. Does it immediately lead to my career to develop? And again, based on my experience and my observation, this tends not to be true except for very specific job categories. So there are a lot of trade type of jobs where, yes, if you go get an electrician level 3 certification, your career develops to more complex electrical projects that you can work on. And that may even be required for you to get promoted to a certain pay level if you are in the electrical, either commercial or residential electric field. So outside of that though, and I'm assuming it applies to most of us here, careers are not deterministic. They're not based on, I'm going to go get this training or the certification or a degree, and immediately next week I should get the position that I'm looking to, striving for. It's very important to internalize that and then utilize, relative to the position, the field you're in, utilize both methods if they're applicable. So one thing I do want to emphasize is something we typically don't pay much attention to is the informal aspect of how do we develop our careers. Very important. It's much easier to kind of wrap our heads around getting a certification or going through a certain course. But it's, from an impact point of view, what actually delivers better results are these more informal career development activities. And to give you some examples, one thing that's, I think, very relevant to this environment is volunteering opportunities. I've seen people, relative to the career path they are on, they volunteer in roles that support that development. So very specifically, there are people who are looking to become program managers, who want to take on large projects, either in a corporate world or in the government jobs. And one way, of course, is to go get a certification. There's like PMP certification and other courses you can take at PCC or do online coursework. That aside, one thing that actually would help you more is if you step in and volunteer to manage a project of a reasonable level of complexity. It will give you experience, it will give you confidence, it will also give you an opportunity to put something real on your resume. It's going to impress the people who are interviewing you, where your background is not just some course project that you did to get completion credits. You actually have, worked on a real life or real world project. So I really want to emphasize this notion of actually going and doing it. So I think, I don't know if anyone of you are in software programming, for instance. There are lots of opportunities where you can take on a project and post your code on GitHub. So there are a lot of companies who will look around GitHub and see if there are programmers who are working in the specific field that they're interested, the hiring companies are interested in, and they will approach them themselves if you have showcased a level of competency that they are seeking. So I would highly encourage you to work on projects with your self-initiative and post the results, post the work for people who are in creative arts, for instance. It's creating a portfolio and making it available online, right? And then obviously linking that to on your LinkedIn profile. So self-driven projects, volunteering, coursework that you take, online courses that you don't even have to necessarily attend classes, all of these add up to building this readiness that either your managers within your company you're in, where you're trying to progress or to develop your career, or outside would value. So just don't get fixated too much on, I'm going to go get a master's degree in a certain field and that will open up career development for me. That certainly can happen. I mean, I'm not saying don't go take coursework, but also invest in the informal career development activities as well. Another one of those lessons learned over the years is something I've seen some people struggle with, where they get into this space where saying, hey, I'm doing all of this, I've taken these coursework, I've went and did this work for free, or to get experience. How come my career is not progressing? Or how come I'm not getting job offers? So there is certainly, for those of you who are developing your profile, your skill base as a way to get to the next step to get a job, that question would arise, saying, how come I've done all of this, how come it's not happening? Again, there are very few industries or very few job categories where meeting certain very specific criteria would lead to progression in your career. In majority of job environments, it tends to be non-deterministic. It's not just your readiness, it's not just your background and your skills and your training, but also opportunity. I see some of you here who have been at Intel for a long time or worked at Intel. Last 5 to 10 years, Intel was not growing as a company. The revenue wasn't increasing. They were effectively, rather than growing, they were reducing in terms of the scope of programs they had, number of people they had. So career development was very difficult. I mean, you might have had the skills to go to the next level, but the opportunity just wasn't there. So it can happen. It could be temporary. I mean, there were, I've worked for a long time at Intel, and there were times when, for 2-3 years, there'll be stagnation. So you're there, you're ready, you've done your work, but there's no career development. So the point I'm trying to get across is, please be aware that your development, your progression is going to be non-deterministic. Don't get disheartened if you're not seeing immediate results. Very likely you're not going to see immediate results. So don't give up because of that. So all of that said, I think just to kind of sum up what we have covered so far, be clear as to what you're trying to accomplish when it comes to career development. Be aware that it can be non-deterministic. Also recognize that there are multiple ways you can enhance your capabilities, skills, and capacity to do work, whether it be formal classwork or degrees, as well as informal methods. That said, now it also becomes important that you still create a roadmap. And by roadmap, I don't mean something that has days assigned to it, or as a progression which says by end of January of 2026, I'll be in this role. The roadmap is a more kind of I'll probably say a loose roadmap which defines milestones that you want to accomplish. Don't tie them strictly to dates. And that could flow in terms of you want to spend 1 or 2 weeks doing self-assessment. This is a very important phase, by the way. And I've seen people with assumptions that they would make that are not necessarily true, and if their self-assessment is wrong, it's going to negatively impact the progression going forward. And one thing I'll highlight on, I think, the next slide as well, is getting input, guidance from your peers and your trusted advisors. We tend to have a sense of who we are, or what we are capable of, or what we are good at, but a third-person view is extremely important. It's actually very valuable. Based on people working with you and interacting with you, they may give you some input into your self-assessment that would be very beneficial. So please do, as you're progressing down this path, please do seek guidance from your trusted friends, advisors, people you look up to. Especially in this context of some of us needing to go look for new jobs, or are being laid off, and we don't have anything, a specific position we are in, there is a desire, tendency, or even to completely change our careers. Say, okay, this didn't work out, maybe I should get into business of my own. Or maybe I was in a software engineering role, maybe I should get into manufacturing role, or the other way around. So I've had some people who were on the Intel manufacturing side who have transitioned to artificial intelligence or software engineering. I've made successful transitions, by the way. The key, though, is to not do that in an ad hoc manner, not to kind of do an impromptu decision to make that change, especially when you're under duress and under pressure. Be cautious in making big changes in this transitionary environment. And also sit back and create a sense of how are we going to implement the steps you need to take to get to the next level. That's the implementation plan that's very important. The one thing I've, again, just coming from experience, I have struggled with, I've seen others struggle with, is that when we create this roadmap, we don't expect that the circumstances may change dramatically. So if you're doing a career development plan while you're working at a company and you're assuming that your job will continue, and then suddenly layoffs happen, for instance. Your roadmap, your implementation plan has to be resilient enough to absorb that kind of a change. So don't expect that it'll be, if you have a 2-year plan, that you would be able to march through those steps without environmental changes or your own priorities changing for them. So assume that there'll be changes in your life. I mean, your family may grow, or your spouse may need to move to another city, for instance. As you're going through kind of a long-term 1-year, 2-year effort to change develop your career, there will be times of doubt, self-doubt and uncertainty. You're not sure anymore if you can accomplish it. You're not sure anymore if that's the right thing that you want to do. Maybe 6 months back you wanted to move into a new field, but now you're no longer sure that you want to do that. Normal, it happens, and all I'm saying is be resilient around creating your plan so that as these changes happen, you can roll with those rather than get distracted by them. The one key thing I want to really emphasize is the importance of social network. What I mean by social network in this context is your friends, the circle of your friends, sometimes their friends, who can provide you guidance, maybe provide you some news of opportunities somewhere else. Many of the successful job transitions, for instance, happen because there was a connection inside the company that you are interviewing with or you're applying to. Or you knew somebody who worked in a similar area and they can help you. To kind of elaborate on that specific aspect, I want to invite Brother Lucine, who late last year went through one of these transitions, mashallah, involuntarily. At that time, he, from what I could understand, wasn't happy about that transition being forced on him, but he'll tell you in his own words how happy he is now that that happened. So I think I do want to kind of also have him touch upon that aspect, because I respect the fact that these changes are very difficult for a lot of us.
Assalamu alaikum. Yeah, thank you so much, Brother Sami, for hosting this. So late last year, I think I was part of the October layoffs that happened, where you had option to opt in, or if you were unfortunate, you get laid off. So I was part of that group, and as many of you are experiencing today, I experienced most of those feelings that you have today. And one thing I'll start with is to emphasize that it has nothing to do with your skill set, it has nothing to do with your abilities. It is really about Allah's roadmap for you. Allah has a plan for you, and He is using this as a detour to put you onto that roadmap. So what happened after I got the message? I was pretty stressed out, went home, discussed it with my family, and I'll be frank, my identity was very tied to Intel. It's kind of why we came here, how we built our community here. So all of that was shaken in one-on-one conversation. My sense of, professional identity, I meet people, what do you do? I work for Intel. That was gone. Intel is one of the reasons we're here. We have a beautiful community, and all of these kind of brought uncertainties, and I think that was my biggest worry at the time. If I sleep at night, it wasn't about how do I pay my bills, it wasn't about how do I feed the family, it was about what is the next step, oh Allah? What is the next direction? And I thought about those in three different ways. So one of it was, okay, I'll just try to find another job in my career in the same field that I am in today, or I'll explore the option of changing careers, exploring something new, something else, do something new, and see how that goes. And the third one was, okay, maybe I'll just do my own business because before that, I had all these business ideas I kept scratching around with. And after exploring all of those, I also thought about how do I leverage some of the experiences that I have at Intel, because we're running a business, you're solving problems every day. How do I bring all of those into this new world that I'm stepping into? Whilst I try to figure out what the new direction is going to be, what am I going to do next? At the same time, thinking about how do I pull my experiences at Intel into this new world that I'm heading into. So I, decided to integrate prayer with planning and taking action. By that I mean is I prayed Salatul Istikhara to pray for Allah to give me direction on which way is the best for me in this dunya and the akhirah, so that at the end of the day, His will be done. So I prayed a couple times, and I also started to take action on these. So for the jobs, I did research on, my career, which careers are going to be the next big thing that's going to come down the pipe, and which ones will pay better, which ones pay better in Oregon, or which, I looked at all different metrics to get a sense of what that career will be, what should I go into. Then at the same time, for whether I should continue with the current professional track that I was on, I had people review my resume and give me feedback. So it was a spectrum of people that are my peers, people that are hiring managers. So I had a broad group of people who reviewed my resume and gave me feedback, and I incorporated those into my resume. So I had I had about 3 types of resume. So I got all the feedback, kind of put them in 3 different buckets based on the broad description of those feedbacks, and I had 3 resumes, which I kind of tried to test the market to see which one was picking up. And along the line, after I attended one of these sessions, I got an opportunity to also volunteer at the masjid, and I got to put that on my LinkedIn profile and on my resume itself. And the opportunity was for me to kind of support on the finances of the masjid, which was a great opportunity for me, which maybe even if it was not the layoffs, I might not have paid much attention to that type of opportunity. So alhamdulillah, I got that opportunity, and it was very fulfilling, and up to date when I do it, I really feel very fulfilled doing it. So I started applying for jobs and sending out my resume, had people refer me. I would say referrals work very well. I had people refer me in some of the top companies like Google and all those, and I was actually able to get a recruiter's attention to talk to them and get an interview. So I kept applying, but at the same time trying all the other 2 tracks that I thought about. That is the business and also the career change track. So on the business track, I thought about different things that I could do, and my main idea was to really just bring import cacao beans. This was something I had always wanted to do. I was like, okay, great time to do this. And I did some research, and I found some guys in Portland that basically has a foundry, but they make chocolate. They don't sell chocolate, they make for chocolate brands. And we negotiated, they were happy to take my business, but they gave me a condition that I should only bring organic cacao beans. And I was like, oh my gosh, okay, where am I gonna get organic cacao beans, right? But at the same time, I also explored different other businesses. But what I realized with the cacao business was. It's a heavy cash flow business. It's gonna tie the cash in for a couple months before you deliver the cacao. They process it and they pay you. So it's like, so I was at that point. I'm like, this is not what I want. I want something that's gonna cash flow. I need something to bring in cash. That's what I want. I don't. This is very attractive, but this is not what I want at this time. So I ended up doing Amazon, selling on Amazon. So I created an account on Amazon, did a bunch of YouTube, and I created that. I had hired someone on Fiverr to create the graphics for me, and I posted that. And believe it or not, people started buying what I was selling. And up to date, that account is still selling, very minimal work that I have to do on it. After the initial setup, it's really just making sure you have inventory there and monitoring whatever the returns are. And that is basically doing very well. I just got a new batch of inventory, which is still selling. It's in barbecue. People love to barbecue, so I love to barbecue. That's why I choose barbecue. But yeah, that was something I just tried, and I was surprised how much steam that picked up. And the beautiful thing about it was also the benefit of taxes, because now I have a small business. The severance pay and all these things, they attract tax events. And you have to kind of think about them now and plan towards that as you head towards the end of the year, so that whatever you have to do now, you can do it, so that you can reduce your tax bill at the end of the year. So with the business, I was able to also leverage the tax benefits that come with that. I think, I don't know if it's the state of Oregon or IRS, they also allow you to write off about $5,000 of initial business expense. You can look that up and maybe talk to your CPA and see how you can, if you want to go that route, what are the benefits that are there for small businesses that you can leverage. So I tried that, and that was on the works. At the same time, I researched the career change path, and that was the least attractive one because it was gonna take some investment. I took some classes on Udemy, but that was a steeper hill to climb. So I just tried to focus on the job application and running the Amazon business. So along the way, I got an interview with PGE here in Portland, and the interview, after the first interview, I got a call that I actually before that, after that interview, one of the sisters here in the masjid invited us over for dinner. So we went to dinner and we were just talking. I was talking to her husband, and she happens to work in an adjacent industry to PGE. And I was telling him about the interview that I have and all these things that they were asking me. And it turns out he knows a lot about that industry. And he was telling me all these things. So after we left their house, 2 weeks later, I got a call that I made it to the next phase of the interview, but they had a case study that you have to go solve in that interview. And then I remember that brother. I was like, oh, Allah has a way of doing things. He made me meet this brother because I'm gonna need him for this interview. So I went back to him and I gave him the problem. I was like, hey, this is the problem they want us to solve. It's like talking to someone in the semiconductor industry about bin splits, and you can clearly describe how you're gonna improve the yield or reduce fallout. You can call the words. So this is basically what happened to me. He really gave me the detailed download of how that problem will be solved. And I went to the interview. I also described how that problem will be solved based on my experience at Intel, layered on top his industry knowledge. And that's kind of, I think that's kind of how I made it as the top candidate, and I got the offer. So alhamdulillah, I got the offer, and at that time, we were also able to negotiate time in that offer so that I can go for Hajj, me and my wife. So alhamdulillah, we were able to go to Hajj. We started the job, left, we went to Hajj, and we were able to perform Hajj and come back safely. So the layoff was the way Allah invited us to go to His house. So today you might be going through the hard message and the all-night thoughts about layoffs, but Allah has a way of wrapping His gifts in moments of loss. Always think about that. Allah has a plan for you, and inshallah, Allah will make this moment you look back and you will receive that special gift that He has kept at the end of this whole story. I will pause there if you have questions, and yeah, feel free to ask. And I'll say a big thank you to the community. The masjid prepared us very well. We had a very good preparation towards that Hajj journey. It was incredible. Any questions? It was, last day was November 15th. By March 15th, I had an offer during Ramadan. Yes. So it wasn't that long, alhamdulillah. And the biggest worry was really leaving Oregon. The other options that were coming up, they were outside Oregon, totally. And I was flexible to that because I prayed to Allah to give me the direction. If it was not Oregon, He will make it where He wants me to go. So that's kind of what. Yeah. Oh, mashallah. Okay, may Allah make it easy for you. Yeah, but also explore unemployment for sure. I was doing all this because I had unemployment coming, right? So. Yeah, I'm happy to support anyone. If you want to talk a little bit more about any specific topics, definitely happy to help. Yes, so what I did at Intel was I was in finance, I was in DCAI. I did pricing for data center products. At PGE, I do power cost forecasting. So basically, PGE has multiple assets that generate power. So my job is to help them generate the least power with a combination of all the solar, they have gas turbines, they have wind turbines, all these things, they all can generate power, but how do we generate the least cost every time? So you have to think about how much people are going to use electricity in a day that's very hot, where you're going to get the cheapest source of electricity so that you can support that load. So that's kind of what I do. And the interesting thing about the job is there is a class at Intel that we were told to take that was a lot about, they call it decision quality, DQ. That's really what I use, that experience from Intel, that class, to be able to solve that case study problem that they had. But obviously with the industry knowledge, it helps you describe the problem better. So yeah. All right.
Inshallah, if there's anything you want to add, do let us know. We have about 5 minutes left before Maghrib, so inshallah. Otherwise, just to kind of add to what Brother Lucine said, many of us have kind of gone through this journey before, so please do connect with us. We'd be more than happy to share with you what we learned from our experiences, and if there's any other way we could support you through this journey of either career transition or career development, there are lots of us would be happy to do that. So please do reach out to me or to other masjid office members, and we'll inshallah make a connection for you. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.